It's that time when bad is good and terrible is even better. Yes, it's this week's Zaius Report, your weekly look at cult movies and other crap. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your host, the movie man who knows it all and where the bodies are buried. His horrorness, the Prince of Slime, the original invader for Mars himself, the man for whom the phrase B-grade was invented. Welcome, Zaius.
Well, welcome to another podcast of the Zaius Report, and with myself, Warren, and of course, sitting with me, well, hypothetically sitting next to me, is of course my co-host, Gary. How you going, Gary?
Hey girl, hey. You alright? How you doing?
How are they hanging? Free and loose?
They're hanging quite well, actually, at the moment.
Oh, that's good. That's
Doing
good to
well.
hear. That's good to hear. And we are honoured on this podcast because we are joined by Velvet Rose. Hi, Velvet. How are you?
Hello. I'm calling in from the mountains of Montana, keeping the local Bigfoot company, and I'm honored to be on your show today.
Well, look, we thank you so much for coming on because you are the first person we've actually had on that actually has an Internet Movie Database page. So we're
I forgot about that.
Yeah, so we're actually quite honoured. So thank you very much for coming on. We should actually tell the story. We'd actually made contact with Velvet. We obviously share an interest in movies. Obviously, Velvet, Gary, and myself, and we'd actually. Obviously, we've been sending out requests to lots of people in regards to movies, they want us to talk about and so forth. And then we sent one to Velvet, and she came back and gave us a suggestion. And then we said, well, would you like to come on and talk about it? And here you are. So thank you so much.
Well, nobody ever listens to me when I give them ideas. So I was like, oh, wow, they actually listen to me. I have to talk to these people. This is crazy. So I have so many good ideas and nobody ever listens. So I was like, yeah, I got to participate in this.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming on. So, but actually, just before we do get onto our very first film, because obviously we are talking about movie suggestions, we have had a few people who have come in with suggestions, and I just want to let people know you haven't been forgotten about. So we have spoken about Weather Woman. Yes, we will be doing Weather Woman, Tracy, so don't worry, it is coming. Also, the other one was The Quiet Earth from New Zealand. Yes, we will get to it when I can actually finally find a copy of it, because I haven't seen it for 10 years, so don't worry, we will get to those.
That's one I've got to hunt down, isn't it? That's going to be my next mission, isn't it, to find that one?
Yeah, pretty much. Steve has actually asked for The Quiet Earth from New Zealand. It's one of his favourite films. So it's a great film about the end of the world, and I suppose we're better to shoot that than in New Zealand. That's just... Well, that's just an Australian joke. Anyway, so anyway, just want to let those people know you haven't been forgotten about. But what we're going to talk about first off the rank, is Phantom of the Paradise. Now,
Dun, dun, dun.
Oh, this is a fantastic movie. This is so good. So look, I'll just give you a quick rundown on it, and then we can all just jump in and start talking about it. Now, it's from 1974 and directed by Brian De Palma, and it is a musical, I suppose we would actually say, sort of a cult B sort of musical.
Opera.
Rock opera, yes, yeah, much in the same light as, I suppose, Jesus Christ Superstar or something along those lines. But it draws from a few different sources, which we'll discuss in a second. Now, it stars, was it Paul Williams, William Finley, and Jessica Harper. But
Huge Jessica Harper fan here on the panel. Hello, Jessica Harper represent.
Right on.
But Paul Williams, of course, in 1974 was huge. I mean, he was absolutely huge, and he stars in this movie and also wrote all the music to this movie. Now, just to give people a bit of a right idea of what it is, if you've seen Phantom of the Opera, you will have some idea of what this movie is about. Mm-hmm. We have a guy who basically writes music, and he is writing his rock opera, I suppose you would say, which is based on the story of Faust, and it is then stolen by a very evil music producer. And in his attempt to get his music back, he is, well, let's just say he's hurt quite badly. He's sent to prison. He ends up getting his face caught in a record press.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. That's all right.
You know,
it is one of those things that when you say it out loud, it sounds so ridiculous.
And
all week, my friends have been saying, "What is this movie?" And I start telling them the story, and I can't tell them the story without laughing.
It's
like they're just like, "What? What?"
It's just wonderful. It's wonderful. And so basically, and if anyone doesn't know what a record is, I'm not going to explain it. Just hop on Google and find out. So basically, he's had all his teeth pulled out when he's in prison. So he's now got metal teeth. He's now got a totally deformed face. He's lost his voice, so he can't speak. And he goes back for revenge after Paul Williams. And he's then, I suppose, conned, if you like, by Paul Williams to finish his rock opera. But, of course, things don't quite work out the way they were meant to. So I don't want to give the ending away, but what's everyone's thoughts on this, guys?
Well, first off, I have a lot of nostalgia for this film, which is really crazy because this film came out before I was born. It came out in 1974. I was born in 1980. So when I discovered this film, I believe I was around 14 or 15. And the way I discovered this film is not a common occurrence for me anymore. I actually had to watch television to discover this movie. You know, back then you couldn't choose what you wanted to watch. You flipped channels and hoped you found something that wasn't a commercial or a televangelist or a soap opera, you know, and occasionally
people don't understand.
People don't understand. And you couldn't shell out the big bucks for HBO, but you had these like movie channels that would show movies you never heard of, you didn't want to watch. And I was a huge fan of the opera the actual like original, like back in the 20s with Lon Chaney, as well as the actual book by Gaston Leroux. And so I was like, Phantom of the Paradise. And I was like, maybe it's a horror movie. You know? So I was like, well, guess I'll be watching this because there's nothing else on. And was I shocked when it within the first 2 seconds it busts into song and it's like this doo-wop style and this guy's digging in his crotch for half the song because his pants are too tight. And I'm just like, oh, this is going to be a wild ride. So I love it. Every song in the movie is good. The visuals on the movie are crazy because it's just like, I was looking at this today and I'm just like, wow, they really went over the top with like what they could do with their budget, prosthetics and the makeup and the costumes and just even like the theatrics, which is another dying art form. Like to actually go to a concert and see like Alice Cooper style theatrics, and they do that in the movie. It's just like, I love it.
That Alice Cooper-esque moment. I don't know who did it first. Yes. I'm guessing Phantom, where he creates the Frankenstein on stage.
Yes,
I mean, Alice is famous for doing that.
Well, the character who plays that sort of Frankenstein monster on stage is, I've forgotten the name of the actor, but the character is called Beef. And it's Beef.
Gert Graham.
He almost in sort of, he almost steals the show to some degrees. He's actually really funny.
I adore so much because you think he's going to be like this really butch rocker and he turns out to be the campest thing you've ever seen.
And that was a fluke. And that was a fluke because he said in interviews, Garrett Graham, that originally when he got hired to be in Phantom of the Paradise, he was supposed to play the Swan character, the corrupt record producer. He was originally supposed to be Paul Williams' character. And then they, like at the last minute, they were like kind of like, well, you know, Paul Williams kind of reminds us of Phil Spector, so we think he'll be better for that. So we want you to do Beef. So, you know, Garrett Graham thinks he's going to be this big, tough, macho rock star. And they kept going kind of, can you do it a little different? Can you do it a little different? So as a joke, he did that really effeminate, prima donna performance. And they were like, yes, that's it.
I mean, he'd make a perfect Frankenfurter in Rocky Horror. They should have really...
Totally,
definitely.
totally.
It reminded me actually of the original version, the original movie version of The Producers, where I almost wanted him. I almost wanted him to come out and start singing "Springtime for Hitler." You know, it's like they do try, baby. They do try.
I just love it when he's running out of the theatre going, I ain't doing that. Nope.
Nope.
It's
when he gets a plunger to the face, when he gets the plunger to the face, I always cringe. Like, our audience at home has to see that, because I'm like, I don't even know how many people even know what a plunger is anymore. But you use it to unclog your toilet, people, if you don't know what a plunger is.
It's one of those
it's
things that the men
school.
usually hold on Pornhub before anything exciting happens.
It's like when that scene starts, it starts off and it's obviously, you know, a send up of Psycho, the shower scene from Psycho, which is a great Australian band too, by the way. But then rather than the knife, out comes the plunger.
Right to the face,
it's so comical
dude.
how it's done as well. It's like an instant like bloop.
Oh,
Yes.
It's absolutely fantastic. Now, we should actually say that Paul Williams actually wrote all the music, of course, with this film, and it was actually nominated for an Academy Award for Best Music. Didn't unfortunately win, but it was actually nominated, and the music is great. I actually really love the soundtrack to this.
Yes,
I dug out the soundtrack after I rewatched it again this week, because I forgot how awesome it was. It was like, I've got to listen to it again.
This is how much I love the soundtrack. Back in the days when we still used CDs, I mean, I know there's some people still remember CDs. I remember cassettes, I remember 8-tracks, but, you know, CDs, come on. And I remember having to track. This is when Amazon was new. Like, now you get everything on Amazon, but this is when Amazon was still new, and they only sold books, and they recently started selling CDs. And I managed to find somebody who was selling the Phantom of the Paradise CD, because you couldn't get it in stores. You know, it wasn't like, you know, this a movie from 1974 and trying to get the soundtrack on CD, forget about it at the time.
Yeah.
I managed to find a seller who gave it to me for the bargain price of $60. That's how much I love this movie. Yes, that's how much
$60.
Yes, that's how much I love this movie. I was like, and you know, we couldn't download the soundtrack online. That just was not a thing yet. You know, it's like
I remember months and months of searching back in the day for the Little Shop of Horrors '86 soundtrack. And I ended up spending a fortune for that as well. And now when you look at everywhere, it's on Spotify, it's on Amazon.
I know. It's on YouTube for free.
Yeah,
that is one of the things that really annoys me. I know that I remember buying a movie called I know Gary knows this movie, All About Anna from Holland, and I remember it was so hard to find the uncut version, and I finally found it with the actors' commentary, the director's commentary, and I thought, oh yes, I've got to buy it, and it was $100, and I thought,
and you're like, never mind.
No, I was an idiot. I forked out the credit card.
Sadly, Warren would pay for it.
And anyway, and it arrived, and it was all great. And I was cruising Amazon about a month later, and it was for $9.95.
No, that's the worst.
Oh,
you know, worst.
It happened to me with Sorority Sex Kittens, you know, the 80s movie. Oh God, that took me ages.
What?
To find an uncut version, because the UK one was always the softcore nonsense, because, you know, if we see a penis, we'll all die.
I think I might have been in that one.
A North City boy day on my life. But anyway.
Oh my goodness.
Oh God, it was a nightmare finding things back in the day.
Oh, speaking of which, as I made that cute little joke about, maybe I was in that movie because it has a sexy title. But when I was rewatching Phantom, actually today, just so I was like really fresh for when I talked to you guys, the Juicy Fruits. That is a very odd name for a band. That is a very odd name for a band, the Juicy Fruits, because over here in the United States, people who tend to be homophobic have a tendency to call homosexual individuals fruits. So when I hear juicy fruits, so when I hear juicy fruits, I don't think of actual, you know, apples and oranges. that are past their sell date, and I don't think of the iconic chewing gum. It made me think of a homosexual adult film for some reason when I heard juicy fruits.
It did me as well. When I watched it this week, I immediately thought the same thing. I thought, if that's not the title of a gay porno, it needs to be.
I was about to say, who's not Google up? We should actually see, is there a gay porn called The Juicy Fruits?
Oh, God. I'm afraid I will get, viruses on my computer if I try to Google that. You know what I mean? I think it's just going to take you to the dark area of the internet that you wish you didn't go traverse.
Yes,
but there's
the
dark
dark web
company called Juicy.
Oh my God, really?
It's like they'll show you a new use for an eggplant in a peach. So, yeah.
Oh my goodness! But one thing I wanted to say is that this movie does actually draw from various different sources. It's not actually just the story of a sort of a reworked story of Phantom of the Opera. It does, of course, because even though Phantom of the Opera itself is actually loosely based on the story of Faust, this movie actually plays directly to the story of Faust. And it also plays to the story of Dorian Gray as well, which I think a lot of people, when you see the bathtub scene with Paul Williams, will immediately sort of say, oh, I think I've heard of that story before when I was at school. I'm sure I read that book. So did you like all of that?
I absolutely love that because I'm a fan of that kind of literature. So like Phantom of the Opera, read it, saw the movie. Faust, read it, saw some weird kind of Czechoslovakian stop clay motion movie about it.
I've seen it myself. It sticks with you for a month because you have no idea what the hell went on.
Exactly. We've seen all the different versions of also Frankenstein because the way they create beef during his stage performance, picture of Dorian Gray, I absolutely love. And this one, even Edgar Allan Poe made a little, appearance in there because the cask of Amontillado, when they brick him behind the wall, that's Edgar Allan Poe right there.
Oh, of course it is. Yes, of course it is.
Yeah, so I love that.
Fabulously parodied in Elvira's Haunted Hills.
That's a great one for Halloween. So,
it is.
But I love all the influences. And so, I mean, it's a really convoluted in the best way, convoluted film, because there's a lot going on. There's a lot of backstory. There's a lot of characters. There's a lot of, the storyline is, really complex. When you start telling it to people and they're like, wait, what? Wait, I'm going to see this. Wait, what? A record press? Okay, I definitely have to see this.
The second
metal
you mentioned
teeth.
plunger and record press, everybody's like, I want to see that now.
Yep.
We have Jared Leto's recent incarnation of the Joker to thank for the resurgence of metal teeth in anti-heroes.
Yes.
So maybe they drew some influence from that. I don't know. But
what does everyone think of William Finley's costume in this? Because it's obviously very different to the, I suppose, what people will imagine if they're thinking of Phantom of the Opera. This is almost more of a space age sort of...
I always saw it as like the Raven, Edgar Allan Poe's Raven. That's how I've always pictured it.
Okay. I looked at it as a not futuristic space bird, just strange. It's just weird. I was just like, that's so odd. But it works for him. It gave you the mystery of his face because there's some kind of deformity behind the mask, but you don't really get to see it until much later. And also the dramatic makeup, not so much his deformation, but on the side of his face that's not deformed that they allow you to see, he's got really heavy eye makeup. And I realized. Yeah, and I realized I've been really influenced by this film on so many.
I was going to ask a question at you, Velvet, and I hope you take this as in the right way.
I have no sense of humor, so I'm easily offended. I'm easily offended.
We'll give you a special triggered corner to go to.
I did notice that the lipstick, which is worn by William Finley, and the lipstick, which is actually worn by you on your AVI on Twitter, there is very similar.
Yeah, I noticed a lot of my makeup icons have very dramatic eye makeup and very dramatic lip makeup, and only in recent years have I actually noticed this, and only today when I was watching The Phantom of the Paradise, I was actually doing my makeup while I was watching the movie. When they showed him with like this, like the eye makeup, just like that big black shit around his eye, and I'm like, I was doing my eyeliner, and I'm like,
He might in a
Epiphany.
desperately wants to be on a pill.
I was like, that was weird. Like, now I know where I got that from. So I don't wear it quite as thick as he does, but I've always like done very dramatic eyeliner, and I never really knew where that influence came from. The only one I could think of was Elizabeth. Why did I just forget her name? When she played Cleopatra, as like she had like the dramatic, white woman.
Elizabeth Taylor. Yeah.
Well, thank you. Elizabeth Taylor playing Cleopatra, of course, had very dramatic eye makeup for that role, and that was the only person I could ever think of. And I'm like, no, I don't think I was influenced by her though. But yeah, I think it was Phantom of the Paradise, ironically.
Well, there you go. An exclusive. Velvet is the Phantom.
I am the exactly. The black lipstick, the thick eyeliner, and I've got a thing for masks. So, I'm looking for a cape. That's me. Totally there.
All of Taylor Swift's hit records. Velvet.
Do you think Velvet, you'll go off and get yourself an aluminium bird mask to go with the cape?
I'll post a selfie, topless selfie with the silver bird helmet. Definitely.
That would actually be the most fabulous thing I would have ever seen in my life. You should totally see it.
Now, I should actually just also mention that this movie, when it actually first came out, wasn't actually a success. It wasn't actually a hit. It actually got some very bad reviews, we should actually say. But where its following or its love actually came was after it had finished its cinema release, and it was actually television, like you were saying,
yes.
The Velvet, and that's where its cult status sort of came
right.
with, because this is the exact sort of movie for me anyway that. I remember when I was, much younger, the idea that you'd get together with friends, like when you're at university, and you'd get together with friends in the dorm room, and and you'd watch something like this on The Late Show at like 1 a.m, and it takes me back to that. It's just fantastic. I just love it.
Well, it had the same sort of thing that Rocky Horror had, really. I mean, Rocky Horror was a complete flop when it came out, which is hard to believe now, but it found its forte in midnight screenings.
Yes, and now it's, would you say it's probably the biggest cult movie of all time?
Rocky Horror.
I would go with Rocky Horror, because every single person, all my friends, every single person I talked to this week, including my own mother, and I was saying, hey, I'm going to be calling in to these crazy people on a podcast that like to talk about weird movies that nobody's seen except for me, and nobody saw this movie. None of my friends, none of my family, they were all like, what? You mean opera? No, Paradise. I know what I'm talking about.
The thing is, there is a lot of similarity to Rocky Horror with Phantom as well. It's something that I think Phantom influenced the movie version of Rocky Horror a lot, to be honest.
That makes sense. They both have that theme of the corruption of innocence is definitely in there. And they both have the theme of pursuing a goal, no matter what the consequences. Like, Dr. Frankenfurter is going to make you a man. And, the Phantom, wants Phoenix to sing his music. And, he will kill any motherfucker who gets in the way. So even the guy who's shining the light on the stage, you're not shining it on Phoenix, you're dead. So,
Oh, I know. I
just have a Rocky Horror connection with the fact that Jessica Harper is in Shock Treatment, which is the sequel to Rocky Horror.
Of course, yes, of course.
That's right.
Because of her role in Phantom.
Oh, there you go.
Oh,
Look
there
at that.
you go. There you go. See, this is why, Gary is my man. He just knows this stuff.
I just have a really strange obsession with Jessica Harper. Blames the
But I did think it's interesting how many people the Phantom in this actually kills who are totally innocent, who have done absolutely nothing wrong.
He's crazy. Oh, he's nuts. He must be an awesome fuck. I mean, seriously, because crazy people, the best sex ever, So I'm just like, I'm down. Keep keep the mask on, we're good to go. But no, seriously, he's so crazy in that movie. So crazy. So crazy.
So, yes, it's a little bit like, here's my mobile number. Just bring the mask, okay?
Just bring the mask. Yeah.
That's
just
right.
show up naked. The mask, we're ready to go. But no, but his acting. Let's talk about Winslow Leach, the
yes.
character in the movie. William Finley, the actor, he passed away unfortunately in 2012, and he is so like. I don't want his acting's not bad, but it's like so over the top. Like when when he's just like, I was framed. Someone stole my music and framed me. I'm just like, every time I see that, I have to burst out laughing because I'm just like, of course you're going to be upset if you get sent to prison for something you didn't do and somebody steals like your life and blood from you. But it just, yeah, his acting's so over the top, and I just love it because the movie starts off
still at the same time. You can't take your eyes off him. It's amazing.
Yes.
So, yeah, it's.
Yes.
Did you think he overacted on purpose, or do you think that was just the way it turned out?
I think when you get that kind of script, it's kind of like you got to be over the top. Because I mean, like the music's awesome, the stage performances of the music are a little over the. Well, not a little; they're totally over the top. So I think he thought he was competing with that. So I think he thought. I can't just play this straight. Like, I got to be, like, really emotional. Like, even when he's, like, playing the piano, the way he's swinging his head around and, lip-syncing to the music. And, like, he's just dramatic all throughout.
I totally believe Elton John copied those moves.
Yes! we could have honestly have just replaced the bird mask with a giant, sort of French 17th century wig. And it really probably would have worked. I love the scene though when he is actually on the roof of the house, looking down into the house, watching his enemy and his beloved making out, and it's a really good scene actually.
Right.
It's so beautiful.
It is. My favorite scene is when he's getting his voice because, he's been so mutilated, he can't even speak. And so they like hook him up to like the sound system, like old school sound engineer, a million buttons. Nobody knows what any of them does except for that one guy. And that's why he's the sound engineer. And he's able to just like turn his, and the guy's singing and playing the piano and he has this box on his chest and wires in him. And they're just start pushing buttons and pushing knobs up and down and twisting. And like he goes from like this robotic, cacophonous noise to, a singing voice. And it's like okay, I'm going to say it. It's fucking goofy, but I get chills when I see that scene. I love it that much. It gives me chills. I love it every time. I'm just like, it got me again. Hair standing up on my arms. Just like, love it.
It's a bit of a Darth Vader moment.
Yes. And I have a crush on Darth Vader.
Oh, really?
So that there again, there's the tie-in again. I love masked men. I love the masked anti-hero that usually for some reason murders a lot of people, but then like deep inside it's because they have such passion. Like, because Darth Vader ultimately had a broken heart. That's why he was a bad guy. Come on. And he got corrupted.
The strange attraction to Jason Voorhees, because I thought all he wants is just stop and give him a cuddle.
I could see myself hanging out with Jason. Like I could see myself hanging out with Jason. I'm just like that like what do they call it? The final girl that he won't kill.
Yes.
Like no matter how many chances he has, he's just like, I just can't swing the machete every time she comes around. I just can't do it. Hey Jason, what's up? Hey Jason, want to go see a movie? Yeah, okay, let's go. So.
Well, I saw a fantastic picture. I think you actually posted, Velvet, on Instagram of a young lady sleeping with Freddy Krueger walking into the bedroom.
Oh, yes. I keep trying to find who the artist for that is. Yeah, it's I had a whole series of them. I lost them recently. I'm going to find them, but they had all kinds of great stuff. They had the creature from the Black Lagoon holding the Little Mermaid, just like, it's a great piece of artwork. Sleeping Beauty got Freddy Krueger lurking off at the corner of the bed. There was a couple more. But they were all just like Disney characters with iconic horror, people. And I was just like, oh, this is amazing. And I'm like, yeah, if I'm a princess, I'm the princess that, I'm sleeping and Freddy Krueger's stalking my dreams. Totally, that's so me.
It's just brilliant stuff.
When you think about it, I mean, like if you think of Snow White or Sleeping Beauty, for example, what kind of necrophiliac prince is walking through the woods and thinks, "Oh, there's a dead body"? I guess that.
Oh my god! I know. Oh my god!
Also, she's been in there for a long time. We all know that the human body disposes of its bowels after it's died.
Whoa, exactly. No, you think the exact same way I do about that shit.
But
there's some dodgy princes out there. I'm telling you.
Yeah, they need to hose her down before you give her that true love kiss. You know?
But we think about fairy tales. I mean, fairy tales really are just horror movies in a sense, or horror stories just from centuries ago. I mean, you think about the stuff we tell our children to send them to sleep. I mean, it's like, would we show them a Jason movie at 3 years old? But we tell them about, going off into the woods to be eaten by a witch. It's it's kind of freaky.
Well, I mean, if you look at the Bible, I mean, I've always said the Bible is the first slasher movie script ever written. I mean, it's got all the morals that you get in a slasher movie are all in the Bible.
Totally.
Oh, yeah, well,
totally.
You think about it. I mean, it's murder, incest, sacrifice your own son. Yeah, it's pretty horrific stuff.
Zombies.
I mean,
don't forget zombies. You got to have a zombie.
Zombies. Yeah.
Totally.
I mean, what was that story of Sodom? It's like, there's only one guy that God is going to save, but he'll save his 2 daughters, kills everybody else, and then when he goes off to repopulate, he sort of says, go off and have sex with your daughters. It's like, are you for real?
This is Game of Thrones.
It is.
Just yuck.
Oh, Game of Thrones. Well, I know. Oh my god. So look, anyway, if we're going to rate this film, guys, I mean, this really is a winner, isn't it? I mean, this is one we recommend everybody go off and find and watch.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I recommend, even if you're a slight fan of Rocky Horror, you will dig this. This is the same kind of sort of format, but also it works as well as it's the sort of musical where straight people aren't too worried about saying they like, because it's butch enough to actually keep the I like Phantom of the Paradise. Woohoo, Mamma Mia. No, thank you. No.
And also, if you're a fan of nostalgia, if you like 70s culture, then you'll definitely want to see this. Because what I like about this film is it's not futuristic. It's very much in the present of its time, 1974. Yeah. So people had records. They weren't talking about the internet or social media or all the wonderful things we have today. And it was really, people were really much more physically connected back then. You had to physically interact with people to experience a social experience.
Also, the record desk is a wonder to behold. I want that record desk.
Oh, the record
that is
desk.
Cool. That is cool.
But you have to be lowered into it, though, wouldn't you? I mean, or maybe he just emerges. But you think about it, this whole story wouldn't even work today, because all he'd simply do is just hop on Facebook and just text. He'd just hop on and I'll just send instant messenger to her. He doesn't have to speak.
He's sitting on a giant iPad.
I mean, that'd be an interesting movie, wouldn't it? Remake Phantom of the Paradise in 2016 and just have them basically talking on social media all the time.
Do not give them ideas. Do not make.
I know. I've oftentimes thought it would be cool if they did remake that movie, but if it's adjusted for today's technology, it would totally destroy the charm of that film. Absolutely.
Also, I'm a firm believer that there isn't the same level of talent around in filmmaking these days as there was then.
Isn't that the truth? Yes, that's true.
It's just
that's true.
It's just terrible these days. I mean, I so much just want Hollywood to start making a little bit of just a few more original concept ideas. I mean, there's only so many Japanese movies you can remake. There's only so many French movies you can remake. There's only so many British or German movies you can remake. And also for, not Hollywood so much, but US TV, there's only so much Dutch television that you can watch and remake,
The thing that annoys me the most is when they blatantly steal from independent cinema, hoping that nobody's seen it. They did recently with a film called Repo Men, which was a complete copy of Repo the Genetic Opera, which is very similar to Phantom of the Paradise, if you ever get around to watching that. And they basically took all the songs out of it and turned it into a completely dull, boring movie, and they claimed it was original. It's like, no. This was done about 4 years before you did that one.
No, original ideas. I'm all for original ideas. There you go. That was my rant for this podcast.
That was a gentle rant. No,
that reminds me. Have you seen clips of that? Have you seen clips of Fox's new Rocky Horror they're doing in October?
No.
Oh, I didn't even know about this.
No.
Really? This is a thing? I didn't even know about this.
They've cast Laverne Cox as Frankenfurter, which I do have slight issues with due to the fact that Brad and Janet are supposed to be thrown off by the fact it's a man in a dress, but yet this is a woman in a dress. Nobody's going to think that's weird.
There are some things that should just not be done. You know, like it's
probably is with it being Fox and made for TV for Halloween, it's going to be completely sterilized. This is like Rocky Horror with its balls cut off.
Yeah, I remember
they even take Rocky out of his gold pants and put gold boxer shorts on because so you don't see a penis line.
Oh God!
No, this is just ridiculous. I mean, I remember because I'm a huge fan and lover of The Italian Job, the original movie. Mind you, I'm a fan of anything that Michael Caine is in. But the thing was,
don't you dare insult Mark Wahlberg here. I love him.
Yeah, no, I like Mark Wahlberg as well. But that film should never have been made. You know, I mean, it's actually a really good film as a standalone movie. You know, but
you spent too much of it clothed, though.
You wanted The Italian Job crossed with Boogie Nights.
I wanted the Italian blowjob. That's what
Be careful what you wish for. They're known to chop up salami over there. So.
Oh, what's that French movie? Is it Bois Moi?
Oh my God, where she sticks the rifle in the guy's ass and shoots him. Oh my God, I was shocked when I saw that as a kid. Now that's a video game. You know what I mean? It's like, that's just like normal shit now.
They did the exact same thing in a Gillian Anderson movie that was made in the UK called Straight Heads, where she was raped by this guy, and the way she gets her own back is by sticking a rifle up his arse.
I think that's a suitable punishment. Yeah.
I did well. I was cheering her on. I was like, kill the bastard. Nobody does that to Scully and gets away with it.
Oh, no, it's so sick.
Well, actually, just do we all like? Does everyone like that sort of more modern style of sort of? I don't know if you want to call it experimental cinema, where many of the things that we actually see in the movie are not simulated but actually real. Whether it be violence, whether it be sex, where the actors actually agree to actually sort of do it for real. I mean, what's everyone's thoughts on that?
You will always be held up by the censors on that.
Yeah.
Sorry?
Always. You will always be held up by the censors.
I only like it real if it's a sex film, because, faking sex is, what's the point? But I mean, actual really film, that's the point of it. Well, isn't that the point of acting, though, is you're not supposed to be really doing it? I don't know. I'm not a fan.
Are you a fan of the movies such as, Romance, 9 Songs? I'm trying to think of some other ones where where, like, for instance, the sets in it is unsimulated.
Oh, I actually watched a bunch of those one year. I remember one year, for some reason, I made it my goal to watch, like, all these NC-17 and X-rated, like, movies. And I was kind of like... Every one of them I watched, I was like, I could have done it better. I could have done it better.
I was so hoping you were just going to say that, because I could just imagine you sitting there going, amateur.
Yeah, I'm just like, you're not even breaking a sweat. I was just like, but honestly, all joking aside, a lot of times, like, there's so much hype about it, and oftentimes, like, it was so stylized, and it was just like the actual sex was like blah. It was just like... It was unstimulating. I was just like, it wasn't pretty. It was just,
too romantic, which is annoying because it's supposed to be a lustful thing, not a romance thing.
Right. Right.
Well, I mean,
I'm sure it was great for the actors, but for the viewer, it was just kind of like, it's kind of boring.
It's only
Take 78. Oh, God.
But from my understanding, it's only actually done the way it's done so it can pass censorship. Because I'm not 100% sure on the American sort of like censorship laws, but I know in Australia, and I think Britain is the same, Gary, is that if you can pretty much show absolutely anything on TV, providing you can justify it.
Yeah.
Oh, it fits into the storyline. Like, it actually adds to the story. It's not like, oh my God, I ran out of milk. Let's have crazy sex for 10 minutes. And then
that's right.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got a whole.
And I'll go to the grocery store.
So it's a bit like in 9 Songs. If it's meant to be telling a story of a decay of a relationship or something like that, then you're allowed to actually show real sets on primetime TV. But yeah, if
it has to be under the guise of art house.
Yes. But so if the pizza guy comes and she can't pay for the pizza, then no, unfortunately, that won't actually pass the censorship rule.
I'm just insulting an entire folder on my computer here. I'll have you know that Braz is very realistic. I have dealt with many pizza men like that.
So you want Brazzers to be recalculated as what art house?
I would love it if Brazzers was real. There should be a Brazzers scene in every movie. You know, the same way that Bollywood puts a musical number in no matter what movie it is. There should be a Brazzers scene in every movie.
Well, I'll tell you what. Let's throw that to Hollywood and see what they say.
At least it'd be a
Well, look, we're just going to take a quick break, and we will be right back with movie number 2.
I worked in the garden center, and a lady came in, and we had the flowers or the plants, and she asked me how much the chlamydias were.
The Only Funny to Us podcast, available now at onlyfunnytous.com.
Well, we're back, and movie number 2. Now, this is great. I know this is one of Gary's favourites.
Yeah,
Barbed Wire.
The reason I brought Blu-ray, damn it.
I said on the last podcast, you know how when I bought my first Blu-ray player, I got a couple of free movies. One of them was The Sweeney, but the other one was this actual movie, Barbed Wire.
Hammy boobs HD. It's a selling point.
So I got Ray Winston's ass and I got Pammy's boobs. So it was an interesting combination, put it that way. So look, anyway,
probably best not to watch both when stoned.
Although I've got to admit, the car chase in The Sweeney is pretty cool. It is pretty cool, you know, even though.
But is it as cool as looking for a badge on an outfit where there's hardly any room for herself, let alone a badge?
That's very true. Oh my God, I snorted then. Sorry. Okay. Okay. Barbed Wire from 1996, and of course directed by David Hogan. Now, I think a lot of people will have seen this movie. It's of course based on the comic book character. From a very similar time, actually. And, of course, stars Pamela Anderson, with second billing to Pamela Anderson's boobs, I think, because they play as big a role in this as she does herself.
I feel there's not enough credit for the zip. The zip manages to stay up the entire time. That zip is amazing. That's like government zip.
It must have been super glued in place. I think no one could hold a zip perfectly in that position, I think, you know, without super glue.
Totally glued in. I think that's what fascinated me most about that movie, was just waiting for the nip slip the entire movie.
I'm sure there would have been a few in the outtakes.
I would have spotted it.
Did you like the outfit that she wears, Velvet?
I was really conflicted with that movie back in the day, because I've always been a fan of what's the word I'm looking for? Exaggerated or glamorized female beauty. I'm a big fan of big hair, makeup, big boobs, curves, and tight clothing. I'm, any woman that wants to dress that way and puts the time and effort into doing it, I totally applaud it because it takes a lot of work. Dolly Parton said it best. It's really expensive to look this cheap. So I was like, I love the way she looks in that movie, but that was one of those movies where I was excited about it, but then I saw the trailer and I was like, oh wow, I can already tell this is a bad movie. This is not good at all. But Pamela's in it, so it's like you want to like it. So yeah, I was really conflicted.
Well, it really was a sales piece, wasn't it? In a sense, for Pamela, it was right at the real peak of her fame. Would that be right?
Yeah,
absolutely.
And but unfortunately, at the box office, it actually did really badly. It actually cost them $9 million to make this, and they got 3.8 back. So not exactly.
Wow.
I think all of that was from
wow.
Not exactly a huge success. I suppose I should actually just give a brief rundown of the film. But one thing I was going to say is that I actually see this film in a lot of similarity to Showgirls.
Yes.
I
always
think
give it arse when Showgirls is mentioned.
I can see that, yeah.
Oh, yeah. But
I can see that.
But anyway, the brief rundown is that it's set in 2017, obviously filmed in 1996, and it's a view of sort of not a post-apocalyptic world, or we shouldn't say world, United States, but it's the United States
it's basically
is now
what happens after Trump gets in.
Well, I was going to mention that. I was going to mention that because it's part of the Second American Civil War, and Barbed Wire is the character obviously played by Pammy, and she's working, or she runs a nightclub in the last free city in the United States, which is sort of close to the Canadian border, and it's we then get basically this sort of spy drama, this sort of kick-ass action adventure movie as the rebellion, if you like, it's a bit Star Warsy here. The rebellion forces are trying to stop the United States government from releasing a deadly sort of nerve agent, biological weapon, and they need to escape into Canada to let the United Nations know what the American government is about to do. But that's the thing, isn't it, guys? It's 2017 and America's in civil war. I mean, it's like,
wow.
Are we drawing
wow.
I mean, are we drawing too many conclusions to the human hairpiece here, or not?
I think that Barbed Wire will be looked back on as like the Nostradamus of the film.
I just wonder actually whether TV stations on when's election night? Is it November 8th? Is that the date? I think. In the United States, it's sometime in November, isn't it? Whenever it is,
you got it.
I remember many years ago when the Gulf War actually happened, and I remember there was the first news reports came through on the radio, and I was listening to sort of a bit of an alternative radio station at that stage, and they announced that missiles were landing on Tel Aviv, and they immediately actually put on REM's "The End of the World as We Know It." And I'm actually wondering if some American TV station on November 8th will play Barbed Wire.
Oh my god!
So what are your thoughts, Gary, on Barbed Wire?
Well, I'm happy for Pammy to get the royalties in November. She needs them. But,
yes.
Barbed Wire. I've always had a love for Barbed Wire due to the fact that one of my obsessions when I was a kid, and Baywatch. I mean, I had the huge poster on the wall of Pammy in her cowgirl outfit, the Playboy cover. That was my poster on my wall for years. And I remember getting it on VHS because I was too young to see it at the theatre. I got it on VHS, and it was actually in a special case which was wrapped around with a catsuit with it actually had laces on the front which you could undo to reveal Pammy's boobs underneath. It was quite a fabulous design, actually.
Oh, that's amazing.
was amazing. I don't know what's happened to it over the years. If I've still got it, it's probably worth a fortune because I was probably the only person that brought it. But yeah, Barbed Wire. It reaches my level of camp that I absolutely adore. I love any movie with a strong female role, no matter how cheesy it is. If it's a female in there and she's kicking ass, I'm happy to be watching that film. And I love anything with bad puns, and this film is full of bad puns from beginning to
It's so punny.
Well done. A round of applause for that.
I mean, I absolutely adore Barbed Wire. I can't not say anything bad about this film as much as it would struggle me to actually try and think of anything bad about this film. Probably that there isn't enough Pammy. It needs to be 4 hours long. Well, that's why.
It also reminds me a lot of, I mean, we mentioned, the similarity in a sense with Showgirls. Maybe not so much the similarity of the movie, but definitely that it was a showpiece for one particular person.
That's the thing. I mean, if you look at Showgirls and Barbed Wire, they seem to be aimed for either a strong female audience or for a straight male audience, but yet they tend to ignore it, but the gay audience brings it in. It's like, we adore Showgirls and Barbed Wire. They are our children. Do you know what I mean? They're up there with Judy.
It's fascinating, that, isn't it? It's like Kylie Minogue becomes the singing sensation of the gay community. Yes. It's quite interesting the way that sort of that happens. But
we've kept Madonna in business for years.
Oh, absolutely. Where would she be?
She's lucky she did Evita, or else she would have been gone years ago.
But there's another group of films that this reminds me a lot of, is the Chameleon films with Bobby Phillips. I don't know if anyone remembers Bobby Phillips.
Yeah.
I'm not sure who that is.
I know that you're a fan of one of her films, Gary, with the other very famous American... Oh, is it not Evil Dead? She was in Big Brother. Gemma Jameson.
Gemma.
Oh, okay.
Gemma, okay. I am standing, I am saluting, I'm doing the national anthem.
Well, Gary's very proud because on another podcast that Gary's on, he actually got to talk to her.
Oh, cool.
So, yes, one of those... One of those moments when Gary was glad he was probably not on video when it was being done.
I'll tell you what, inside I was like squealing up and down, going, "Oh my God, ask her about her outfits." I was like, "No." The inner gay came out. The second Jenna appeared. I was like, "Oh my God, I love you."
It must have been so hard, actually. Well, actually, I'll rephrase that. It must have been so difficult, actually talking to her when you were talking about the Big Brother reality show, when, of course, you probably just wanted to talk about all the movies and all the rest of it.
I had questions about Peter North. I had loads.
Right, exactly. And she's one of those tragic figures of the adult industry that she's been in it so long and she just wants to distance herself from it. So I don't think she's found that happy medium yet where you learn to embrace your past but also look forward to the future, because she really, she did that, huge retirement when she was retiring on the avian stage.
She's had more farewell tours than Cher, hasn't she, really?
Yeah, she was like, "I'm never spreading my legs for this industry ever again." And then she had to work as a webcam model, and I'm just like, yeah, you gotta
I've always seen Jenna and Pammy in the same sort of light. Pammy's like the family-friendly Disney version of Jenna Jameson.
Totally, yeah. She totally is. Even though she has a sex tape, she still managed to live that down and maintain her level of class, which is, that's,
Jenna, I think, is part of one of the reasons why the adult film industry now is in the mainstream. I do firmly believe that. And I think
so too.
Pammy saved Playboy as well. So you got to think about it. Slightly classier than the other, but not by much.
Well, was it? But it wasn't really just her. Wasn't it also the company Vivid that she was attracted to, that sort of did make... It like when Vivid sort of had those big contract names, if you like Jenna Jameson and so forth. Suddenly, it was you were allowed to say that you liked adult movies.
I could probably reel off a whole 90s Vivid cast right now, and you can pick out about 48 movies they're all in together.
It definitely changed everything, didn't
I knew
it?
them by name. I could identify a male chest and a female chest from 100 paces. You cut their head off and I go, oh, that is Alexander's. And they go, okay.
But the fight scenes, I've got to admit, in this movie are actually, pretty
What
good.
about Barbed Wire? Not vivid now.
Yeah, yes. Sorry, we're back on the movie. It's another one of those Brady Bunch moments, isn't it? We're back on Barbed Wire. The fight scenes are actually really good. I mean, they're honestly quite as good as anything you got from an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie at the time. The special effects are actually pretty good. In the fight scenes and all the rest of it. It's got a lot of that camp cheesy humour, which makes it a lot more enjoyable to watch. And I've got to admit,
this is the thing I would like to defend, if I may, that a lot of films came out with male-dominated casts exactly like Barbed Wire at the same time, yet they are considered classics, whereas Barbed Wire isn't. And it's not down to Pammy's acting, because I'm a huge Schwarzenegger fan, but some of his acting is absolutely diabolical. So you cannot even. I do think there is more snobbery to having a female in an action role than there is to having a male in an action role. And I think Barbed Wire was a victim of this.
Absolutely.
It's
always seen as kind of a joke, or it's supposed to be campy, or it's like people don't take it seriously. People don't. Yeah, people can't accept that. They're always like, oh, that's the weaker sex, especially if it's a beautiful woman who kicks ass. People just can't handle that. Yeah.
If you compare Barbed Wire to like something like Commando or Raw Deal, they are pretty much identical to each other. There's, Barbed Wire does actually have a lot more originality than what those two films do.
Well, absolutely. I mean, if we look at, you take a movie like Commando. I mean, Arnie is shocking in it. I mean, he's absolutely terrible. But look, I still love Arnie. But then Commando, people sort of they'll talk about it like, oh yeah, it was one of his earlier films. It was so good and all the rest of it. But then they'll totally can Pammy for Barbed Wire, and if
you want to make a clearer example with the sci-fi element, look at Time Cop with Van Damme and Barbed Wire. Time Cop is adored, even though it's a cheesy mess of a movie. It is adored, but yet Barbed Wire isn't.
I've got to admit, I'm not a fan of the little Belgian, to be truthful.
How dare you? He was I loved that man.
Oh, he's got to stand on a box to look you in the eyes. I mean,
I love short men. I love somebody I can look down.
And he can outsplit you any day. Just drop it. Drop it.
It's like, oh my God, give it on my lap.
I don't know. It's kind of crazy. I mean, I love, Arnie, but I've just never been able to get into Jean-Claude. I don't know why. I really don't know why. There's no reason why not.
I'm just attracted to short, muscly men. I can't help it. And the fact in Van Damme movies, there was a very high possibility there'd be two of him, because he always has a twin brother that's off being kidnapped.
I know. How many movies has he done where he plays his twin?
4.
4. 4.
I love that. That's
dear. But have we got any other sort of thoughts? I mean, we're talking about Barbed Wire and, how much we love the idea of the strong female character who kicks ass. I mean, can we recommend any others, to people listening? I mean,
you know what? This one's more recent, and I think it's really underrated. But this is the one I really dug. This film was originally shot, and it was supposed to be for Tom Cruise, and he actually turned it down. He's like, I don't want to do that fucking movie. So they totally re-scripted it, and they're like, fuck it, we'll get a woman then. And that was Salt with Angelina Jolie.
Salt.
I really like that movie. I think it's really underrated. And again, it's a strong female character. She's a spy. Mm-hmm. She kind of has like the MacGyver skills. You can put her in a closet and she'll make a bomb.
Yes.
I loved it. And I think that's like the newest version of the strong female lead that people just weren't ready for. It didn't do well at the box office either, and people don't talk about it.
Also, sticking with the Barbed Wire theme and keeping Angelina, I mean, you could always look at the Tomb Raider movies. Also, Resident Evil, that has a strong female lead.
Yes, definitely.
Even going right back to movies like Barbarella, for example.
Oh, yeah.
That one's
huge
weird.
Huge influence to Barbed Wire.
That one, I know I love it, but that one's weird as hell.
It is, but I think that was a huge influence for Barbed Wire as well.
Totally, it has to be.
It's also interesting, though. I mean, do you think in the future, we're starting to see it now, a turn to actually see far more female sort of lead roles, and also hopefully to a little bit more equality in racial lead roles. I mean, for instance, to give you a classic example, there's big talk in Britain at the moment about whether the next James Bond should be black. For instance, there's also in the TV franchise Doctor Who, there's a lot of discussion about whether in the next regeneration the Doctor should be a woman rather than a man.
Yeah, I've heard that.
So, I mean, are you happy with this sort of stuff?
This level. My brain doesn't work on this level. My brain is, if they're good enough for the role, let them have it.
Yeah.
You know, I don't see... This sounds so cliche to say it, especially coming from a white guy, but I don't see colour. You know, it's not... If I like you, I like you. If you're a dick, you're a dick.
Yeah. I know exactly what you mean. That's they also had this discussion. There was controversy with the Human Flame in the recent Fantastic Four remake when they had a black actor playing him, and it was and I agree with you. It should be just let people audition, and if you like them, cast them, and if he happens to be Asian or Hispanic or whatever his race is, but that's just a common theme. I always thought it was an American thing, to be honest. Because even though
sadly it's happening more and more worldwide. I don't know whether it's because social media now brings light to it.
Exactly. It's just like when you make a big deal out of the person's race, then it becomes a race issue, unfortunately.
Yeah, it shouldn't be about race. It should be about genuine talent.
Yeah, and storytelling. It should be telling a story. The story shouldn't make you care about the person's race or even, I guess, genders. I mean, that's a whole other discussion if they're going to turn Doctor Who into a woman. So, I mean, he could regenerate into anything, I guess, as long as it's humanoid and has two hearts and a TARDIS.
Exactly.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously, if the script calls for a 4-foot-tall Mexican short ass of a bloke and an 8-foot-tall, hunky, sexy black man walks in, obviously he's not right for the role.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, totally. I mean, of course, you've got to cast a movie seriously. I mean, if you, for instance,
if I was casting movies, everybody would be beautiful. Would be like, come on, you can go it.
Well, I mean, for instance, I mean, they obviously Roots was only just remade recently, and I mean, clearly, obviously, you couldn't cast, I don't know, a white man as Kunta Kinte. I mean, there has to be, there has to be certain sort of realities to it.
You know what? I hate to cut you off, but I have to say this really quick. Right when you said that, I just had a picture of a white man doing blackface. When you said that.
Oh, my goodness.
And I was like, you know what? It could be done, because they still do it to this day, and sometimes you get away with it. Look at Robert Downey Jr. in Tropic Thunder.
Didn't the Nina Simone movie get into trouble for the same thing recently?
Sorry, who?
Was it the Nina Simone movie that came out recently? I remember there was a big furore over that because they made her darker.
Huh.
Yeah,
but yet nobody says anything about RuPaul, who's like a stunning black man and comes out as a beautiful white woman. Where does this come from?
But see, it's weird how some people can pull it off and it's charming and entertaining and funny, but then other people do it and it's like, oh, that's offensive. You just never know who can get away with it. You just got to try your luck if you're so daring to try your luck. Because I mean, when fucking Robert Downey Jr. did blackface, and I watched that movie and I laughed. And then it wasn't even until years later, and somebody's like, did you ever see that movie where Robert Downey Jr. did blackface? And I'm like, what movie was that? He's like, yeah, well, Tropic Thunder. And I'm like, he did do blackface, didn't he?
You got to remember as well that it goes through phases as well, because, I mean, like the transgender community are currently angry about RuPaul's Drag Race because it's transphobic, apparently, even though they don't understand that drag is an art form and a career choice as opposed to actually wanting to be a woman.
Yes.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
That's right.
That's totally true. That's totally true.
But
people just like to be offended on behalf of other people.
That is true. Robert Downey Jr., that role, though, that was really weird. I mean, you had an American pretending to be an Australian who was playing an American with a black face. It was really kind of.
I guess that's why he got away with it, because it was so convoluted. You know what I mean? It just, I don't know.
The thing that disturbed me the most about Tropic Thunder was, I mean, like Tom Cruise has always been one of my biggest crushes, and then to see him
I didn't even recognize him.
No.
I am really bad about recognizing recognizing people, and I was in the theater with a friend watching that movie, and when Tom Cruise came in, and he goes, "That's Tom Cruise," and I'm like, "What?" And I was like, "Oh my god!" I didn't even recognize him. I was like, I think he's hilarious in that movie.
I was sitting there going, "Oh my god, you're one of the most beautiful men in the world. What are you doing?"
Not anymore.
Oh no. But there was a lot of when Tropic Thunder came out, there was actually a lot of talk in Australia because, of course, Robert Downey Jr. is meant to be playing an Australian, and there was all this talk that came out that it was actually a Hollywood fuck you to Australian actors and directors and producers, because there were so many Hollywood celebrities at the time, around the time when that movie came out, who said you cannot walk onto a film set, you cannot walk into a bar, you cannot walk into a restaurant, you cannot walk into a shop in Los Angeles without hearing a fucking Australian accent. And it was a little bit like, because we tend to be a bit of a nation that just tends to dominate everything, and not dominate, I mean as in we just like to infiltrate our way in. Sorry?
It's pretty loud. You like people from Queens, you just shout everything.
We are a loud country, aren't we? I mean, all we seem to, I mean, we're known for three things, basically. What is it? Swearing, drinking, and watching sport. So, nice. I mean, it's
my kind of people.
But anyway, barbed wire. God, we digress. Definitely, it's one for to say to people, if you haven't seen it, check it out, or if you saw it originally, check it out again. It's would you agree? Give it a thumbs up.
Give it another go. Yeah, I think especially nowadays with B movies suddenly becoming an in thing because millennials think that they invented it and discovered it, even though they've been around for years.
Oh, I know.
I think Barbed Wire will have its day. I mean, it is already a cult movie. I mean, it's not like to the same level of cult as Rocky Horror is, but I mean, it's got a huge gay following, and the gay following is very big at the moment, and a lot of the millennials like to try and cash in on what's popular. So you never know. Pammy will have her day. She will rise.
But yes, I mean, we've got to have more B. We need more B movie. It's that's the thing. I mean, Gary and I have discussed how much we love the Sci-Fi Channel, and it's because it's giving B
they've
grade
brought it back to the mainstream. Really,
that's right. It's when the drive-in cinema, if you like, sort of died in a number of countries. The B cinema died. I mean, VHS gave it a bit of life back, but it was sort of different. I mean, a drive-in theatre, you went with your friends to go and watch these crappy movies, and it was, and you had a lot of fun. You made a night out of it. But going to the video store and renting a VHS tape wasn't really quite the same. But Sci-Fi has given
it from a party to a personal.
Yeah, and Sci-Fi has given the ability to bring it back. I mean, just look at the fact that we have Sharknado parties every year.
Yeah.
I mean, what other franchise movie, when it comes out every year, do people get together, get the wine, the cheese, all the rest of it, and sit down and have a party?
Social media's got a big hand in this. Social media has a very big part of this. People like to be on Twitter slagging things off with their friends.
Yeah, totally. Absolutely.
That's what they do. And also, useless fact about Sharknado. Corey Menteith, the late actor who was on Glee, bless him. His last tweet on this planet, his last public statement to the world was, "What the fuck is a Sharknado?"
Oh my God.
I just had this vision that after he clicked send or tweet, a giant shark came down and
just, I know.
Your last public words on this earth. What the fuck is a Sharknado?
Are we going to do Sharknado? Well, all four of them at some stage, Carrie, or or
tell me you're not going to get Tara Reid on. She does Made in.
She can fly in now. She's got rocket propelled feet.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah.
Tara's not that bad. I'm sure she's lovely.
You're not a fan. You're not a fan of Tara. I love Tara.
No, I like Tara, but
I like her. But I think we're on the same page. It's like she was this beautiful woman that had the world in front of her, and what happened?
Oh,
Yeah. I mean, when you look at her early stuff, I mean, American Pie, Urban Legend, she was absolutely fantastic. And then Sharknado came along. It was like, are you meant to be acting like this?
but in many ways, I mean, Sharknado brought her back into the spotlight.
Yeah.
I mean, she was making some really appalling B-grade sort of stuff.
Well, they nearly didn't cast her for the second one. It was fan demand that got her back because they said that she was
right.
Yeah.
Oh.
And do you remember?
And for the producers of Sharknado to say you're bad.
Well, can you remember there was the online voting campaign after Sharknado 2? Should Tara live?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I remember I remember voting on that.
I did too. I voted live. I was like, live, let her live.
Yeah, I voted live too.
I love the fact they let the fans name them as well. I do love the fact that they let the fans name them. I mean, like calling number 3 was genius.
But can you imagine how awful that must have been for her, though? Because what if people hadn't voted yes? Oh.
Well, I suppose
just
for
would have
her,
been such-
to begin with, Sharknado would have been just another one of those movies she did for the money, you know, it will be forgotten about. But unfortunately, it became this huge worldwide hit.
But Sharknado, though, is so crucial. I mean, I honestly reckon we could be sitting here in 20 years' time talking about how crucial Sharknado was in the same light that we talk about Rocky Horror, or we, you know, or we talk about a movie like that because
it's a bit generous, but
well, no, but it's because Sharknado gave people an insight back into the B movie, which which they'd lost. I mean,
the thing, it wasn't even new either. I mean, Sci-Fi had been pulling these movies out of their arse for about 10 years before Sharknado, and none of them sort of picked up. It wasn't until it's the name. People forget that the names of movies are instant grabbers. Sharknado is an instant grabbing name. It's like Sorority Babes in the Slime Ball Bowl-O-Rama. You see that name, you go, oh, I want to see that.
Yeah.
Or Nude Nuts with Big Guns. That's another one. My personal favourite cult movie title is Ticked Off Trannies with Knives. The second I saw that title, I was like, I need that now. I need this.
I have yet to see that one, Gary.
Oh, Ticked Off Trannies with Knives. It's genius. It's a rape revenge movie where there's these 3 trannies and they've had enough. So they just they go around and it's got Willem in it from Drag Race. And
oh my goodness.
Oh my God.
To me, obviously there is a campaign going around now to get this movie banned because it says tranny in the title and that's offensive.
Sorry.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness!
I don't
see
know.
this in the 80s when you had all those bimbo movies. No bimbo stood up and went, excuse me, that's stepping on my rights. How dare you?
Exactly. Oh my goodness.
Oh God.
My goodness. Yeah. All the politically insensitive stuff we could get away with back in the day. It was all racially insensitive, sexist, and it was wonderful.
It felt more fair, didn't it? Because everybody was involved with each other. You know, everybody hated everybody else back in the day. Now it's like we have to be fit into little media subsections of what the media want us to be enraged about now. Whereas back in the day, we just took the piss out of everybody. It was a way of building up a tough skin. You know, you had to fight in this world.
Yeah,
and
that's
now
true.
Everybody's a hero. Everybody's a winner now. Everybody gets a trophy. You know, you don't deal with bullies anymore. You don't learn to stick up for yourself. They don't allow dodgeball. So yeah, it's it's a new generation of pussies, not the good kind. So,
I'm glad we lived in the generations we did. I really am. But it also makes me despair for what's coming up.
I agree.
It makes you think. I mean, you know, like in 20 years, will there be a generation that just can't defend themselves? You know,
I think so.
Yeah.
What you see is the rising of the far right. I mean, it's already happening in various countries now. The far right are just had enough of all this sort of far left nonsense now. It's like, if you tell people they can't do stuff enough, they will rebel. And that's why we're seeing this shift towards people like Trump now.
It's, just God forbid, don't let him win. Anyway,
it'd be awesome to watch, but I wouldn't like to live there at the time.
Well,
hey, pray for me.
Well, as we said,
come and live with us. You've got to spare it.
Thanks. Thank you for the invitation.
So remember,
just tell my mum like a kindergarten teacher or something.
So remember on November 8th, if Velvet's desperately trying to leave the country, or if for everybody else, why don't you put on Barbed Wire? Because I reckon there's not a better day to watch Barbed Wire than November 8. And because
Pam will thank you for it. She needs the money. Save my. I'm close to doing one of those TV sponsorship ads with Sarah McLachlan singing "Angel" in the background. It's like, please, for just £2, you could save Pamela Anderson from cheap makeup.
Oh dear!
Save.
Oh my god! Okay, so we're going to take a quick break, and otherwise, this show's going to go on for 5 hours. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Oh, we're just careening off the track.
This is going to be a long edit.
Oh, no, that's staying in there.
Okay.
The Only Funny to Us podcast with brand new episodes every Monday night at 8 at onlyfunnytous.com.
Well, finally, for this podcast, our last movie of the show is a really good one, because I think by now everybody listening knows how much Gary and I love lost footage, or not lost footage, found footage movies. And
some of them should be lost.
Yes. We're not going to mention Apollo 18, are we? Gary and I have never agreed on this. Cloverfield. You love it?
I love Cloverfield.
I love Cloverfield.
Oh, yeah, no. Oh, Velvet,
I love Cloverfield.
No, don't get me started. I'm outnumbered.
I loved it.
Oh, I'm outnumbered. Okay.
I loved it because I saw it in the theater, and at the time, found footage was still kind of in its infancy. So, I was the entire time just like white knuckling the armrest and just like shallow breathing and nervous the entire time. So I loved it.
I loved it. I've already ranted about it, so I won't anymore. I'll let you guys win. So anyway,
what's Cloverfield?
But anyway, we are talking this time about a movie called Digging Up the Marrow from 2014, and the title could be a little bit misleading. It
sounds like sort of like an Adventures in Gardening, doesn't it? It's like, we're gonna farm marrow today, people.
Yes, one of those garden renovation movies. It's like we've got 24 hours while they're on holidays to fix their garden.
And dig up this marrow.
Yes, and find the marrow. But it's
Poor
actually.
Janine has been struggling with the marrow in her garden for the past 28 years.
Oh God! It just reminds me of a scene from The Vicar of Dibley. Anyway, who was it? He grew the biggest marrows in town.
He did.
Yes. Anyway, that's. I don't know if you've ever seen The Vicar of Dibley, Velvet. It was a British.
I'm not sure I know what that is.
It was a British comedy TV show from the 90s, early thousands. It was a very. It was about a woman vicar, a woman priest who went to work in this small country town in Britain. And let's just say it was the most dysfunctional town in the United Kingdom.
Basically, it could be any hick town in America as well.
It was absolutely hilarious. But anyway, now this is a found footage movie, if you like, but shot in the documentary style. And it is written, directed by, and also stars Adam Green. Now,
who is beautiful. I say this all the time. I sound like a right slut, but Adam Green is so pretty.
You think everybody is pretty, Gary?
Over and call me Sheila.
But well, Gary, can you mention some of his other works? He's got
cute eyes. He's got a cute nose. He's got an adorable smile. He likes Yorkshire Terriers, and I bet he's wild.
And
other work as in film work.
Yes, his work as in film work. Yeah.
Hatchet. And Frozen, not Let It Go, not that Frozen. It was a different Frozen.
The one set on
the want to say kids that one.
No, the one set on the chairlift with the wolves.
Yes, and he also did a TV series called Holliston as well.
Yes. So in this movie, he basically plays himself, and in fact, many of the people who work with him and for him, and many of his friends, actually star in this movie as themselves as well. So it's designed to be more, as you say, found footage in the documentary style, though, rather than that sort of everybody's dead, here's the footage. So it's really good. It follows the story of Adam Green, who obviously loves monster movies, as we all know, and so he meets up with this guy, And this guy says that he actually believes that monsters are real, and he's found them. They live under the earth. They live underground, and they go off and they actually go off to start this documentary film to see if they can find the monsters. And let's just say,
I'm like, nope. Nope. We do not go look for the monsters. No, we don't. I will take your word for it. We do not look for the monsters.
Adam decides to go down a slightly different path, and he follows off with this.
We can go my path anytime you like.
And anyway, they do find that monsters are real and really do live in cities under the ground. And
they're also on Twitter as well.
And of course the other thing too is that once the monsters have realised that they have been discovered, it really starts to go terribly wrong. And
so the monsters aren't very happy about this.
No, and they decide that maybe they should take their revenge on
This
Adam
is how
Green.
I imagine it was like when the Kardashians were first discovered.
Now, what did you think
have
of?
To get a dig about the Kardashians in this.
What did you think of Digging Up the Marrow, Gary?
I absolutely adored it because, especially being a horror fan, there is a lot of little horror in jokes for me. I mean, like, I knew all of Adam Green's work previous, so I admire the fact that he basically promotes every single movie and TV show he's ever done because it's advertised on his wall, it's on his screensavers, it's on the t-shirts they're wearing. It's on a picture on you. Like, I see what you're doing there. I love the fact that Kane Hodder comes in like playing himself, and he comes in at one point in a very self-referential moment where they show him the footage, and he says, "Found footage, that's never been done before."
That's a great
love
thing.
the fact that they filmed a lot at conventions as well, so they could get a lot of the other horror directors in. I mean, like Tom Holland makes an appearance in it. A lot of the other horror actors do as well, which gives it a sense of realness. And it is very well done. I mean, it is found footage on a larger budget. So it's not like your bog standard load of idiots running around filming things that normal people wouldn't have even bothered filming in the first place.
That's very true, and it is shot too in the more of the documentary style too. So what we spoke about last week of the seasickness of found footage, you won't get that in this movie because a lot of it is
very similar to what like Eli Roth's Sacrament is like. It is done in the same sort of vein as that.
Yeah. Yeah,
I don't know whether Adam Green would like me to mention him in the same sentence as Eli Roth.
There's another very, very similar film from Australia, which I really recommend everybody. If anyone likes this, if they see it and they really like it, please check out The Tunnel, which was filmed in Sydney.
It's about the sorority sister who has tunnel vision.
It's a very, very similar movie. And it's all done as the documentary style with, and the thing I love about it too is, we were talking about how real people are in Digging Up the Marrow. In The Tunnel, all the news reporters and news presenters in the movie are real news reporters. So it makes it a lot more realistic. And the story is very similar about going into the underground sort of basements of Sydney to discover monsters. So it's another good one to check out. But I loved, Digging Up the Marrow. What are your thoughts on...
It's my second favourite found footage movie ever after Blair Witch. It's right up there. Yes.
Really? I was going to ask...
My love for Adam Green is not biased in this decision.
Well, I was going to ask Velvet, we spoke with Cliff from Only Funny to Us last week about his thoughts on found footage because Gary and I are such huge fans of it. What are your thoughts on found footage? Are you a big fan, or
I like found footage too, also because you never know what they're going to do with the found footage until you watch the movie. So you don't know if it's going to be a case of everybody's dead and here's what we found, or you've watched this movie and now it's going to kill you too. You don't know if it's going to be a whole lot of showing nothing and it makes you nervous as hell and it leaves you pondering, after the ending, or if it just ends up showing you like all this horrific shit and you're just like, oh God, why did I watch that movie? I love found footage.
Unpredictability of it.
Yes, I love this genre. I was looking at the artwork that they said they based this film on. So there's an artist, Alex Pardee, and he does these really gruesome, cartoony drawings. Like at first glance, they're really bright colors, fluorescent pinks and blues and reds, but then just really horrific images of people's faces melting off and just horrific animals that almost have like a little cutesy eyes and they were saying that the horror, if the monsters in this film are based on this artwork. And I'm just like, oh God, I don't know if I can watch this movie or not.
That movie is, it doesn't hide away from showing the monster. You do see the monsters. It is definitely there. It's not like
God.
It must be said though, it takes a bit of time. Like when you're watching this movie, there is almost 2/3 of the way through. We don't actually know whether the monsters are real or they're not real. Like, for instance, is Adam Green actually being conned? Like, is this just one big con job? And it's not really until about the last third of the movie that all hell breaks loose. We go from a movie where we just don't know. We have a little bit of a clip here, a little bit of a shot there, and then holy shit, it's on for young and old. This is now life and death.
Well, it leaves you questioning yourself throughout as well, because all these people are playing themselves. And it is done in a believable way. Usually when people are playing themselves, they tend to over-exaggerate or it's a bit sort of corny. But this feels so natural all the way through. And you think to yourself, perhaps this did happen.
Yeah.
Perhaps that did randomly go out and do this.
Oh, my God.
Do you have a favourite and a least favourite found footage movie, Velvet?
Not to put you on
gosh.
Not to just call you out, or anything.
Gosh, I feel like I love... You know what? I actually really like the anthology VHS, which was
yes.
found...
VHS.
Yeah,
somebody with love for VHS. I'm high-fiving you now.
Oh.
Yeah, I really like that one a lot because it gave you all the different stories. And the very first one, the very first VHS, because now there's a series of them, VHS 2, VHS 3, but the very first one was definitely the scariest and the most well thought out, and just like the different stories and just the whole found footage aspect of it. And oh my God, come on, that succubus! Oh my God, that fucking lady!
That was amazing.
Oh my God, when
they're actually turning that into a full movie now.
Okay. Oh yeah, you totally could. Oh my God, so that one I love. Worst found footage. I feel like I've seen a bunch of bad ones. I guess they were all so bad I forgot what they were, because
that's the problem. They tend to blend into.
Yeah, there's some really bad ones where you're just like, that was a waste of time, or that was dumb. I can't think of what I would think would be the worst one.
I know one that
definitely love.
I know one that doesn't get... Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're fine.
I know one that gets very bad reviews. Is it The Family Abduction? The one where the aliens kidnap the family or try to kidnap the family when they're lost in the woods.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Sci-fi found footage.
I haven't watched that. I've heard of it. I haven't watched it. I have not watched it.
Seriously, I don't know, find something better to do with an hour and a half of it. Like, I don't know, clean the toilet, wash the windows. Just
watch Digging Up the Marrow. Watch Digging Up the Marrow. That
most definitely, yeah, much better. Recommend everybody watch Digging Up the Marrow. It's great. I mean, it's that documentary. I think one of the things I'm starting to like more and more about found footage is adding that element of documentary to it rather than it just being found footage. I think it makes it a lot more believable. I don't know what you think, Gary.
I like it when they take a sort of established thing and turn it on its head. Like, I like the ones where you have like a team of TV ghost hunters, like Grave Encounters is one of them, and it basically shows them up. It's like, oh my God, this is actually real. There's real ghosts. Oh my God, yeah. It turns everything on its head. Or when they do like the news report type ones that have been done a few times, they did a lot of them in the 80s actually. There's like a news report format where it's like breaking news coming in every 5 minutes and it's progressively getting worse and worse and worse and worse. I like it when they play with the media. That's why I like VHS, because VHS showed that there's so many different ways found footage can be done.
Yeah.
Oh, well, it's like the movie we spoke about the other week, Gary, the Canadian film, whose name is The Den. No, not The Den. Was it The Den?
Which one?
The zombie apocalypse from Canada.
Oh, we've done.
Sorry, yeah, we lose track, Velvet, sometimes. It's like
I was
so
going to
many.
say, when you said zombie apocalypse film, there's so many. It's hard to keep track of those.
And I've totally...
Canadian zombies, right? Let me think.
It's not something you link Canada with making a lot of, but it's one of the best zombie films I've ever seen.
Excuse me, there speaks a man who's not seen zombie strippers recently.
Oh, zombie strippers. We know why you like zombie strippers.
Yeah, we know why you like it.
Look, definitely, I would say to everybody, check out, Digging Up the Marrow. It's really, really good. If you like found footage, but if you're a bit scared of the seasickness, you won't be worried about this one.
No.
Really, check it out.
It's basically making a murderer with monsters.
Yeah.
God.
So
I'm going to watch it. I'm going to take you up on your recommendation. I'm actually going to watch this movie. I love found footage, and I'm intrigued by this guy's artwork, and I want to see how they make monsters out of this artwork that they were inspired by. So it sounds like something to do this weekend. Something to do this weekend in the mountains of Montana. So.
So I think that's...
You'll be putting her banjo down and watching...
Ding, 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 ding.
So I think we've sort of basically come to an end. We've hit an hour and a half, and
hit the wall now. That's it.
We've hit the wall. We've hit the wall, and so look, want to thank everybody for listening. And also keep all those requests coming in, because seriously, I will get back to you, and we really do appreciate it, and we are working our way through the list of movies that you give us. So I suppose, shout outs. Remember, of course, you can follow this podcast at The Zaius Report, all one word, on Twitter. You can follow me if you like to, although I just tend to post pictures of model trains, but you can still follow it.
It's just like wine and him telling you how wonderful his car is. I don't bother.
That's
to me. I post boobs and horror facts.
I do that. No. I'm gonna defend myself here. I do that on Facebook, Gary. I don't do that on Twitter.
You're lucky we've gone past the feature.
Yeah, I know that's all gone now. Anyway, so if you do want to follow me, you can, of course. It's Martini Superdry on Twitter, and of course, shout outs to everyone else who has been helpful with this podcast. Of course, shout outs to the guys at Only Funny to Us. You can, of course, follow them at OFTU Podcast on Twitter, and that'll link you to their website. So please follow those guys. Of course, as always, thank you to Alana Evans, because, of course, she always plays the music for this show. So thank you very much to Alana. And, of course, follow her on Twitter as well. And Gary, take it away.
Mine is just the site I write the DVD and Blu-ray reviews for, which is bcrising.com, stands for bodycountrising.com. A shout out to my friend Dr. Detroit at Big Brother Radio. I had to think there for a minute. There's me. I'm at GJ69. Oh, it's fascinating. It's thrilling. It's the most amazing Twitter you'll ever follow. And as always, catch us here every week. And I just want to say just a quick thing before I go. I want to say what an honour and a privilege it has been to have you on this week, Velvet. You're a true lady and a wonder. I love you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I couldn't agree more. When we were sort of sharing some tweets and talking about movies, and you sort of, you said you'd love to come on, and we're really honoured, and we really thank you for coming on. And definitely, you have an open welcome to come on anytime you like, even if it's only just for 20 minutes just to say hello. You are more than welcome. We'd love you for the whole show, but you know what I mean. You are, you are more, just absolutely so welcome. So we thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts. Oh, I ran out of breath then. Velvet, shout outs. I'm sure there's some things you'd like to tell some people about.
Absolutely. So if I piqued your interest and you'd like to get to know me a little better, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram. But I have to warn you, I'm a little bit on the risque side, so I prefer that you're 18 and older. You can follow me at OMG, it's Velvet on Twitter and Instagram. Yeah, that helps people remember, right? And
it's a great name.
And if you want to hear more of me screaming into the phone and laughing, you can check out the podcast I do, Underground Saturday Night. You can find it at Murder Master Music Show on iTunes, or you can go to ugsforlife.com. That's UGS, Underground Society, UGS, the number 4, ugsforlife.com. Click on podcasts and find Underground Saturday Night. I host that with my friends Mac J and Prez, and we just laugh and talk and play music. It's kind of like this show, but just different people. All right, thank you guys so much for having me.
That's fantastic. So, so once again, thanks, Gary, and Velvet. Thank you. Remember, you've got an open invitation, and as always, we will leave you with the lovely and charming Alana Evans and Perfect.